Music blared from the television as I danced and sang to the songs of June. Who is June, you ask? Only the most famous and talented singer ever to walk the face of the earth. Hi, Hannah. Mom stepped into the living room and grabbed the TV remote from the sofa. She moved as if to change the channel, and I reared up like a tiger. Mom, don't you dare! Excuse me, did you purchase this television? Mom turned the television to one of her sitcoms. I snatched the remote and changed it back. I was here first, and I'm watching June. Mom tried to grab the remote from my hand, but I held on tightly. I bit Mom's hand. Hannah! With the remote in hand, I ran to the front door and threw the remote outside. When Mom went to get the remote, I locked her out of the house. Now, no one was going to disturb me while I was watching June. Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm from New York. I've been a fangirl of June for as long as I could remember. I have all of his music, his merch, and even a 6-foot poster of him over my bed. Yeah, I know June has never revealed his face, and I have no idea what he really looks like, but his voice is so mesmerizing. And besides, what girl doesn't love a bit of mystery in her life? As a fangirl, it's my duty to bring up June in as many conversations as I possibly can. So one day, when Mrs. Joseph, my English teacher, asked the class, "Who makes you happy?" it was only right that when I answered, I'd answer with June's name attached to it. Mrs. Joseph went around the class taking answers from the other students. And when she got to me, I stood confidently. June makes me happy and cheerful because of the amazing music and videos he produces. June! I rolled my eyes. Bianca and I knew each other since kindergarten, and we were actually friends from preschool to primary school. But in high school, she fell into the popular crowd, became a netballer, and became really mean. Our friendship died soon after that. June will never like a loser like you. June could be standing right in front of you, and he'll never see you because you're so boring. All the popular kids began to laugh. I turned red as a cherry as I sank into my chair. I hated Bianca. Hey, Bianca, the only reason anybody notices you is because you're loud and obnoxious. Well, it could also be those uneven bangs, but hey, I smiled. Aiden was my best friend, and I always knew I could count on him to back me up. Bianca touched her hair self-consciously. My mother always told me that if I didn't have anything nice to say, then I shouldn't say anything at all. Aiden turned around and put his back to Bianca. The class guffawed, and Bianca glared at me, but she didn't say another word. Thank you. I winked at Aiden. When I was 9 years old, Aiden moved into our neighborhood. Over the years, we became best friends, even more so when Bianca ditched me. He's usually very shy and quiet, but he hates when his friends are being taken advantage of. He's super caring and super cute. But don't you dare tell him I said that. That's between us, okay? The bell rang and the students filtered out of the classroom. As we walked to our lockers, Aiden turned to me. So, what is it about this June character that has you so head over heels about him? Well, not only does he have an amazing set of pipes, he also does a lot of charity work, which shows that he's caring and thoughtful. How can you like someone without even seeing who they really are? I mean, what does he have to hide? He's always wearing that ridiculous mask. Did you ask me about June to make fun of me? I love June. I feel as though I'm connected to him. That's more than I can say for you right now. I turned to walk away, and Aiden held my hand. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you upset. You know, I hate it when you're mad at me. Well, stop saying things to get me mad at you. It's really quite simple. We laughed. Another bell rang. Look, I've got one more class. I'll catch up with you tonight. I nodded and watched as Aiden walked towards his class. I was still kinda annoyed. What did Aiden have against June? Aiden was always supportive of me and motivated me in everything I did. Was he jealous of my fan crush on June? I hustled home because I wanted to get started on my history paper. But when I got there and opened Instagram, history was the last thing on my mind. I screamed as I read the post from June's fan page. June will be having a concert next Friday, and he has got a surprise for his fans! Next Friday was my birthday! I needed to be at that concert no matter what. As I scrolled through, I saw tons of posts gossiping about rumors that June may reveal his true identity at the concert. Immediately, I messaged Aiden and told him to call me as soon as he got home. About an hour later, Aiden called. Have you been on Insta? Did you see June's post? He's going to reveal himself next Friday at his concert! Well, at least that's the rumor. That will be the best birthday gift ever!
Slow down, Hannah.
Do you want to go to the concert with me? I doubt Mom and Dad will let me go alone, but they trust you. So what do you say?
So, if I take you to this concert, then I don't have to get you anything else for your birthday?
I still want my cheesecake, Aiden. Don't play with me.
Okay, fine. I'll organize the tickets, and it's a date.
I hung up the phone. I was on cloud 9. My birthday was going to be perfect. Early the next morning, I checked Insta again before I went to school, and what I saw had me shook. June's concert was sold out! No! I was about to turn off my phone when I came across Bianca's video in which she held up her tickets for June's concert. I'm so sorry for all the losers who didn't get any tickets to June's concert. I called Aiden frantically. Did you get the tickets?
Hannah, I plan on getting them today.
Today? I knew I should have gotten the tickets. All the tickets are sold out, Aiden!
Hannah, I'm so sorry. I was sure I could get my hands on 2 tickets.
Let's face it, Aiden. You're jealous of June, and you didn't want to go to this concert with me in the first place. At least you could have been honest about it. You ruined my birthday. I knew something like this was going to happen. I wasn't planning on missing June's concert. I had to get my hands on a ticket no matter what. The days leading up to my birthday, I avoided Aiden. I didn't answer any of his calls or text messages. If I saw him in the hallway, I pretended he wasn't there. I couldn't believe that the only thing I wanted for my birthday was out of reach. So, Hannah, what will you be wearing to June's concert this Friday? Oh, that's right. Poor Hannah didn't get a ticket. Bianca and her friends laughed. You're right. I don't have a ticket, but I also don't have a black eye. Before Bianca could register what I said to her, I punched her in the eye. Hard! She stumbled backwards and fell into Aiden's arms.
Hannah!
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with me? What are you? Bianca's little puppet!
Hannah, words are one thing, but hitting Bianca, you should have walked away.
One of Bianca's friends spoke up. Didn't you hear? Bianca and Aiden are going to June's concert together.
I glared at Aiden and walked away. Hannah, wait! But I didn't stop. I ran all the way home and slammed the door to my room. How dare Aiden yell at me in front of Bianca and her stooges? And on top of it, he's going to the concert with her! I had to stop them. The day before my birthday, I walked into school on a mission. Bianca brought her tickets to school every day, but today, she wasn't going to take them back home. I waited until lunchtime to make my move. I sat in the corner of the cafeteria and watched as Bianca waved her tickets in the air before she stuck them in the front pocket of her bag. Now was my chance. I got up with my tray in hand and bumped into Bianca and threw the bag on the floor. You dweeb! I'm so sorry, Bianca. I used the tray as a shield to grab the tickets between my fingers. I placed the bag back on the bench next to her. That's why losers aren't going to see June tomorrow. Bianca and her friends sniggered. Who's the loser now? I walked away quickly. A smile spread across my face. Hannah! I kept walking. I didn't stop. Hannah! Give Bianca back her tickets! I stopped and spun around. What did you just say? The tickets you took from Bianca's bag! Give them back! I looked over at Bianca, who searched her bag dramatically. You thief! I looked at Aiden. Are you going to make me give them back, Aiden? I know Bianca won't, or I'll give her another black eye to match the one her bad makeup job is trying to hide. Aiden walked over to me and snatched the tickets from under the tray. I dropped the tray on his foot, took the tickets, and tore them up. The entire cafeteria grew silent. I watched as Bianca sank to her knees and began to cry. It served her right after all the damage she'd done to others over the years. Sadness washed over Aiden's face. I came to the cafeteria to find you because I wanted to show you this. Aiden pulled 2 tickets from the pocket of his shirt. They were tickets to June's concert. Aiden turned away from me and walked over to Bianca and handed her the tickets. Bianca hugged Aiden and mouthed thank you to me with a smile on her face. I kicked the tray on the ground and stormed out of the cafeteria. The next morning, my alarm clock screamed at me and I threw it across the room. It was my birthday. Last night I begged my parents to stay home so I wouldn't have to face Bianca today. Luckily for me, they agreed to let me take the day off from school. I grabbed my phone and expected to see a happy birthday text from Aiden at 12 o'clock, which was our ritual, but there was none. After what happened yesterday, I wasn't sure if our friendship was gonna survive. I still couldn't believe that I had stolen Bianca's tickets and tore them up, which had cost me my tickets to see June and possibly my friendship with Aiden. By the time I dragged myself off my bed, both my parents had already left for work, but they left me a happy birthday card for me on the kitchen counter with breakfast. I spent my day sulking, watching television and eating junk food. Not the way I planned to spend my birthday, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. At around 5 p.m., my parents burst into the living room. Mom held a large rectangular box in her hand.
Happy birthday, sweetheart!
They looked on eagerly as I slowly opened the box. In the box was a beautiful red dress and one concert ticket for June's concert. In the box was a note. Happy birthday. I hope you wear this for tonight. I'm sure you'll look beautiful. My eyes widened as I clutched the ticket in my hand. Is this for real? My parents nodded and I jumped up from the sofa and hugged them. Thank you! Over the next few hours, Mom helped me with my hair and makeup as I got ready for the concert. I couldn't believe that I was actually going! I wish I had someone to share June's experience with, but at least it was better than watching movies on the sofa. Once dressed, my parents dropped me off at the entrance of the concert. Have fun, baby! Mom and Dad gave me a little wave before they drove away. Nervously, I walked towards the gate and stood in line with the rest of June's fans who were chatting excitedly. When I got to the head of the line and handed over my ticket, the guy looked at me and then called over one of his associates. My heart skipped a beat. Was something wrong with my ticket? Is something wrong? The guy behind the counter said,
No, but we've been asked to personally escort you to our VIP section.
VIP? My eyes twinkled. The man smiled and nodded. His associate walked up to me and introduced himself as Brian. As we walked through the crowd, I spotted Bianca, who waved. I'm off to VIP! The look of awe, followed closely by disgust on her face, was worth it. I placed an L on my head and smiled at her. I knew it was a bit mean, but it felt so satisfying. But where was Aiden? I expected him to be draped on Bianca's arm like every other boy that ever went anywhere with Bianca. I soon forgot about Bianca and Aiden when I arrived at the VIP section and took my seat. The VIP had food, drinks, servers, but I was too excited to eat or drink anything. About 15 minutes later, the lights dimmed. Smoke filled the stage, and I chanted with the other fans in anticipation. June! 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 The crowd roared when June stepped onto the stage and began to perform. I sang all his songs word for word. I couldn't believe that this was really happening. Then something happened that changed my life forever. After his final song, June addressed the audience.
I'd like to thank you all for joining me tonight and making this concert a success.
The crowd cheered.
Tonight is the birthday of someone who is very special to me. I did this concert with her in mind, and yes, the rumor of my big reveal tonight is true. Help me count down and then I'll remove my mask.
As the crowd counted down, anticipation and excitement filled the air. 3, 2, 1! June pulled the mask off his face, and I gasped. Aiden! Suddenly, the spotlight shone on me.
I spent all this time hiding, afraid of telling people who I was, scared of what they'd think. But when I thought of my friendships, I realized that I was keeping a part of me hidden, and I didn't want to do that anymore.
Aiden looked directly at me.
Hannah, you mean the world to me. I chose my stage name based on the month we first met. You have changed my life in so many ways.
Aiden jumped down from the stage and walked towards me. My heart fluttered as our eyes met. He held my hand.
I'm sorry that I made you feel as though I didn't care. The fact is, I care about you. A lot. I'd love to take you out on a real date, if you'd let me.
I nodded my head, too afraid to speak. Aiden leaned in and kissed me in front of thousands of people. Our first kiss! The crowd cheered. Aiden pulled away.
Happy birthday, beautiful.
Then he kissed me again.
Hi, my name's Isabella, and I'm from Mexico. Please like and subscribe. Growing up, I was always a loner.
Quick, everyone run! Isabella's here!
I don't know why everyone hated me. What was I doing wrong? But I had learned to accept my fate as a loner. That is, until Elle moved in next door, and she changed my life forever. The first time I met Elle was when I was 8 years old.
Isabella, go down the road and buy some tortillas.
See, Mama? I rode down on my bicycle, but suddenly my tire popped and I went tumbling down.
Look out!
I screamed as a car came racing towards me. It was too late. I was gonna die! Then suddenly, I saw a flash of blonde hair and suddenly I was on the side of the road, out of harm's way. A girl had just saved me from certain death. Muchas gracias! You just saved my life! The girl looked up at me.
You need to be more careful.
What's your name?
Elle,
Oh, are you my new neighbor?
I guess.
I smiled and hugged her. She blushed. Thank you, Elle. I'm Isabella. Elle gently escaped my hug and said goodbye. I thought that would be the last time I'd see her. Boy, was I wrong. The next day at school, I was walking through the hallway when suddenly I was shoved to the ground and my backpack was ripped from my grip.
Oh, Dios mío, seriously, Isabella? Aren't you a little too old for Barbie?
Camilla and her team of sheep laughed. Please, Camilla, give it back!
No, you embarrass me just by the sight of you. You need to learn that embarrassing me comes with a price.
Please, just stop it!
Never, you little...
One moment Camilla was there, the next she was sprawled on the ground. And standing there like some kind of superhero was Elle.
Back off. What the...
Elle hissed at Camilla and she backed away.
What are you, loco? I don't like bullies.
Camilla's friends helped her to her feet.
You're gonna regret that, new girl. And you?
Camilla glared at me.
You'll regret that too.
Camilla and her gang ran off, while Elle helped me up and handed me my bag. Thank you again. It seems you are my guardian angel.
I guess so.
From that day on, Elle and I became best friends. The problem was, I had no idea that Elle wanted to be more than just friends. I discovered Elle's secret when we were out on the swings in our school playground.
Isabella, we've been best friends for a while now.
Yeah, what? It's been like 8 years or something, right?
Yeah, but I have something I need to tell you.
Sure, what is it? Elle looked really nervous. Are you okay?
Yeah,
Elle?
I like you.
Huh? Oh, I like you too.
No, Isabella, not like that. I mean, I have a crush on you. I love you.
I was frozen. What? Wow, I had no idea.
Do you feel the same way about me?
I'm sorry, Elle. I don't feel that way about girls. Elle stood up. Elle, I'm really sorry.
Fine, it's fine.
And then she ran off. Elle, wait! She ran into the school building and disappeared. I stood there, still feeling confused. Had that really just happened? My best friend was in love with me? Suddenly, there was an enormous explosion, and fire broke out in the school. Screams erupted as children escaped the flames. Oh my God! Elle! I rushed in to try and find her, but the crowds of escaping students overwhelmed me and I was brought outside. It took a while for firemen to arrive and douse the flames. Eventually, I spotted Elle being escorted out of the school. Elle! Oh, thank God you're alive!
Stand back, miss.
What? Where are you taking her?
She started the fire. She's been acting crazy, so we're taking her in. She'll likely be put in a psych ward.
What? No! She...
Stay back.
There was nothing I could do. They took Elle away. I was distraught. They did end up putting Elle in a psych ward, but it made no sense. She was fine just a week ago. At school, I became the biggest loner again. Camilla was overjoyed. One day she shoved me against my locker and grabbed my pink Barbie backpack again.
Now it's time you paid.
Please, Camilla, don't!
Shut up, Pipsqueak.
Suddenly, whispers arose in the students around us. Even Camilla stopped to look what was causing such a commotion. The crowds parted, and from them emerged the source of the whispers. It was a guy, but not any ordinary guy. A super hot guy. I could see Camilla was in awe. He must be a new guy at school because I'm sure I would have noticed him before. He walked over and suddenly looked over at me.
Hey, Isabella.
He knew I existed? Camilla looked just as shocked.
Hi, what's your name?
She pouted her lips in an attempt to look sexy, but she just looked like an idiot. The new guy took one look at her and rolled his eyes. Then he held out his hand. Camilla stared at it, slightly confused, then put her own hand on his.
Not your hand. Give me the bag.
Oh.
She handed him the bag, then the guy approached me and helped me to my feet, handing me my backpack.
Here you go.
Wow, thank you.
Antonio. The name's Antonio.
Thank you, Antonio. I glanced at Camilla and her face was priceless. I wish I had a camera. Antonio grinned, then walked away. Everyone's eyes were on him, and I knew they were thinking the same thing. Why would he talk to Isabella of all people? After that intense ordeal, I wanted to vent to someone about it. So that day after school, I planned on paying Elle a visit at the psych ward. I didn't know if they were accepting visitors, but I was willing to try. But just as I was about to leave school, I heard a loud engine start up and a motorbike pulled up beside me. The guy took off his helmet and I gasped. Antonio!
Hey, beautiful.
I felt my knees buckle. The hottest guy at school just called me beautiful.
Where are you off to?
I hesitated. Could I tell him about Elle? I decided to go for it. I'm visiting my best friend Elle. She's, at a psych ward.
Oh, that's cool. But I wouldn't go if I were you.
Why not?
Because I know the psych ward doesn't take visitors.
En serio?
Yes, really.
Oh, okay.
Listen, you want to go for a ride? It'll be quick.
I should really try to visit Elle, but there was this handsome guy offering me a ride on his motorbike. These opportunities didn't come often. Sure, I hopped on and he handed me a spare helmet.
Hold on tight, sweetheart.
We zoomed down the street and he took us around this scenic view along the cliff. The sunset was gorgeous. It was so romantic. Finally, he dropped me off at my house. I was really into him. I was about to say something to thank him, to say anything really, when he leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. My heart nearly exploded then and there from excitement.
I like you, Isabella.
Oh, thank you.
What do you say to dinner tomorrow at El Diablo's? 7 p.m.?
Yes! Yeah, sure. Antonio smiled, then zoomed off again on his motorbike. What a night. The next evening, I waited at El Diablo for Antonio to arrive, but the clock approached 8 p.m. and Antonio still hadn't shown up. Great. Did I really expect a guy like him to like me? I sighed. Antonio had stood me up. I shouldn't be surprised, but still, I thought we had shared something special. I grabbed my purse and left the restaurant. At this point, it was already 8:30. I had no hopes of him showing up anymore. But just as I was leaving, I heard the familiar purr of an engine and suddenly Antonio was there.
I'm sorry I'm late.
You're an hour and a half late, Antonio! I looked at his clothes. What are you wearing? It looked like some kind of nurse outfit.
Oh, I work at a hospital. Yeah, I had a late shift tonight. We had someone come in from a freak car accident. I had to stay in and help them. That's why I'm late.
Oh, well, maybe that was an acceptable excuse.
I'm really sorry, Isabella. Can you forgive me?
Fine.
Do you still want to have dinner?
No, I'm too tired now. Just drop me back home. He took me home, but just as he was about to leave, I stopped him. Wait, I want to give you something.
What?
I kissed him on the cheek and he blushed like crazy.
Oh, haha. Thanks.
I grinned. Now it was my turn to make him all flustered. The next day, I decided I really had to visit Elle now. I wanted to tell her about Antonio. I didn't care if the psych ward wasn't allowing visitors. I had to see her. But when I arrived, I received some shocking news.
She escaped.
No manches! No way!
Yeah, about a month ago. The authorities are still looking for her, but it doesn't look like they'll find her anytime soon.
I went home feeling numb. Elle escaped? Where was she? Why hadn't she contacted me yet? I was beyond confused. The next day at school, I went over to the swing set where I had last spoken to Elle. I sat down on the swings. Elle, where are you? I heard a noise beside me, and Antonio appeared.
Hey, Isabella.
Oh, hi.
May I?
Sure. Antonio sat down on the swing where Elle had sat.
I've been looking for you all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really need to tell you something.
I suddenly got deja vu. Elle had said the exact same thing in this exact same spot. Freaky. Sure. What is it? Yes?
I'm in love with you.
Antonio!
I love you and I want to be with you. I want you to be my girlfriend. Will you?
I was overjoyed. I leapt onto him and kissed him fully on the lips. Of course! I'm so happy you asked. Antonio grinned, but then the smile fell off his face when a voice sounded behind us.
Oh, look, the two ugly ducklings finally got together.
We turned around to find Camilla and some guy next to her. What do you want, Camilla?
My boyfriend Andre and I want to go on the swings, so hop off, losers.
Yeah, leave already.
Fine,
No. Why should we leave?
Antonio, let's just...
Isabella, you dingus, just shut up already.
You shut up, Camilla. Oi, don't speak to my girlfriend that way. Or what? Or you'll get a taste of this knuckle sandwich. We'll see about that.
No, wait! Too late! Andre swung his fist at Antonio and they got into a huge fist fight. Camilla and I backed away as they fought each other.
Get him, Andre. That's right. Get him.
I looked in horror as Andre grabbed at Antonio's face, digging his fingers into his skin. But then, Camilla and I both started screaming as Andre seemed to be pulling Antonio's skin right off his face.
Okay, Andres, that's enough.
But he didn't stop, and suddenly, Antonio's face fell on the floor. Ah! Antonio! I rushed over, but when Antonio looked up at me, I felt sick to my stomach. It wasn't Antonio. It was Elle! Elle? What the? What?
Isabella, I can explain. Elle?
Antonio was Elle? But how? What? None of this made any sense. Had she done this to trick me? To get back at me? But we just kissed. Oh, this was wrong on so many levels.
Isabella, please.
No! You stay away!
Wait!
I turned on my heel and bolted. I ran as fast as I could. I couldn't deal with this right now. I ran towards home, but I heard a familiar motorbike engine and suddenly Elle was driving beside me.
Please, Isabella, can we talk?
You tricked me!
And I couldn't be more sorry. I made a mistake. Please, Isabella. Please, can we just talk this out? I'm asking you as your best friend.
I slowed down, then came to a halt. Fine. I walked over to the nearest tree and collapsed beneath its shade. Let's talk. Elle joined me and lay down. Why did you do it?
You know why? Because I love you.
But I don't feel the same about you, and you knew that.
I know, but when I was in that psych ward, all I could think about was you. I had to get to you. I had to be with you. And if I had to be a guy to do that, then so be it.
You escaped?
Yeah, when you found me in that nurse's outfit, I had just gone back to the psych ward to retrieve my things. I was using that as my disguise. I used my house as my base, and that's where I made this mask. I became Antonio. I did it for you.
Elle, you do realize this is all crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think is the best thing to do?
I should go back to the psych ward.
I'm sorry, Elle, but it's the best thing for you right now.
I really love you, Isabella.
And I love you too, but as my best friend, not as a girlfriend.
Promise you'll visit me?
I leaned over and hugged her. Of course. I have something called social anxiety. I get so nervous when I'm around people. Recess was the worst time of day for me because kids like Marley would suddenly sneak up behind me.
Relax, weirdo. What are you doing standing like a little creep behind the wall? Why don't you just get out there and make friends?
Maybe because I don't want friends? And what are you hiding in your other hand?
This!
This is the reason I don't have friends. Hi, I'm Aria, and I'm from Tennessee. I loved being home with my parents. And while we were eating dinner that night, I came up with a solution to solve my anxiety problem. Mom, since you're taking a break from work, maybe you can homeschool me. Aria, I'm taking this break so I can focus on my novel. Your therapist said the only way you can overcome your fears is by being around people.
I have something better in mind that might just help. Summer school.
What? That only meant more new faces. I really don't see how summer camp is going to change anything. My parents eventually convinced me that summer camp would be good for me, but I still stayed hidden away. All the new faces definitely made me more nervous until one day when I really wanted a candy bar from the vending machine in the office. Hi, could you change a $10 note? I want something from the vending machine. Sure, honey. Here you go. I waited behind another girl who wanted a soda, but looked very frustrated. I soon found out why. Hi, can I borrow some money? I don't have enough, and my friends and I are so thirsty. What is it? Can I have some or not? And with that, the girl shoved me into the machine, and soda dropped down the chute. Thanks, for nothing. I crouched down against the machine and cried. Just then, I saw the girl coming back. I was so afraid. But behind her was another girl who was pushing her towards me. Apologize! No!
Or else... I'm sorry, and here is my money. You can get whatever you want.
And that's how I met Cassidy. I shadowed Cassidy the entire summer camp, and she wasn't scared of anything.
Come on, it's your turn, Arya. What if I fall? I won't let you fall. Ever.
Cassidy wasn't like the other kids. We snuck out of our cabins at night to chat and watch Storytime animated videos and eat s'mores. I had the time of my life. After summer camp, it was back to school for me, and I felt more confident because of who I saw.
Surprise! I told my parents to transfer me to your school. Oh, wow! That's great!
I was happy, but also thought it was strange. But anyway, since I didn't have any friends, it was a good thing. Until she started coming to my house. Cassidy, it's your turn. Let's see if you can maintain that winning streak.
Of course she can. She's a born winner.
Nah, I just practice, and give it my best shot.
Listen, she even talks like a winner. Your parents must be so proud of you.
It almost seemed like my parents loved her more than me. And whenever we mentioned her parents, she looked sad or she changed the subject. Cassidy, how come you never talk about your family?
Because they're always busy. I'll see you at school tomorrow.
Back at school, Cassidy also seemed to be the shining star amongst the other kids. Once she even showed everyone that she could balance a straight line of books on her head throughout recess. This was a bet she made with some random guy.
Cassidy! Cassidy! Cassidy!
I eventually got tired of standing around watching Cassidy, so I went to the bathroom, which was such bad timing since I found Marley there, fixing her hair.
Hey, Arya, how are you doing? I haven't seen you standing behind anything lately.
Oh, you're so funny, ha. Cassidy and I are really busy with our science project.
Cassidy, oh, her! She seems to be more likable than you.
Well, I don't care about being liked. You know that.
Oh, yeah. I saw how your parents get so excited when they see Cassidy every time they pick you up after school. It must be tough not being a perfect child like her.
I didn't care about being liked at school, but I did care about my parents liking her more than me. So I had to make some changes. I decided maybe I didn't need Cassidy anymore. I was good without her. I got excellent grades and even did some sports, and other kids at school started hanging out with me. Even Marley started liking me.
Hey ladies, mind if I get a spot over there?
Sure, but Marley and I are just going to take a walk outside. Aren't we, Marley?
Okay.
But remember, we have to meet at your house this afternoon to complete our science project. Oh, actually, I'm gonna take a rain check on that one. I can't do today. The next day at school, I was hanging out with Marley when Cassidy appeared. Hey, Ari, can we talk about the science project, please? We're falling behind pretty bad. Oh yeah, about that? Marley and I are a better fit, so we're going to work together. You don't mind, do you? No, actually, it's cool. I'll just finish this on my own then. See you around. And the next day, Cassidy didn't come around. And the next, and the next. After I dumped Cassidy, Marley turned out to be a terrible science project partner, since she always ditched me when I started talking about the project. Hi, darling. Are you all right? Do you need some help? No thanks, Mom. Marley should be here soon. Marley never came, and Dad decided to step in because we needed to present the next day.
Harry, darling, I haven't seen Cassidy in a while, and Mom said that Marley is supposed to be doing this project with you. I hope that you get a good grade and blow everyone's socks off.
Thanks, Dad. I hope so too.
Oh, and one more thing. Good friends stick with you through good times and the bad times. Just remember that.
Dad had a point about true friends, so I needed to test Marley's friendship. Hey, Marley, what happened yesterday? I waited all afternoon. You didn't pitch in, and I couldn't complete the project. We're going to fail.
Oh, man, my dad felt so sick, and I needed to stay home and take care of him.
Look, I even have a note for the teacher. I felt like a jerk. Her dad was sick, and I was trying to test her. She even had a note to ask for an extension on the deadline for our project. She had to be a true friend, but she was awfully giggly and chatty for someone with a sick dad. And when we presented the project I worked on, Marley kept repeating everything I said and just spoke louder than me. Our project is about vegetative production and cloning plants.
Our project is about vegetative production and cloning plants.
The teacher eventually got tired of Marley echoing after me and asked us to sit down before I could even finish.
What was that about?
I was just trying to help since my father is sick and I couldn't help with the project. I wanted to have some input.
It's okay. I understand.
Next up was Cassidy, and she made a volcano, which looked so cool. She was definitely going to get a high score. And then Marley whispered in my ear,
Don't worry, she's not scoring any marks today.
What are you talking about?
Watch and see.
Cassidy's volcano didn't erupt the way she wanted it to, and that's because Marley swapped the bicarbonate soda with sugar. I was so mad at Marley. But later after school, I found her crying.
Marley, why are you crying?
Yes, I'm so sorry for what I did to Cassidy. I'm going through a lot right now with my dad being sick, you know.
Yeah, it's okay. Cassidy is smart. She'll do well in her next project.
Before I could head home, Marley invited me to hang out with her and some of her other friends at the Burger Creek.
So, what are you wearing to the fall dance?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. We can go with my dad tomorrow.
But I thought your dad was sick.
Oh, yeah, I meant my mom.
Oh, great. When we were at the dance the next night, Marley gave me a package to keep away in my bag, which I found so strange.
Aria, hey, take this.
What is it?
I'll explain when we're inside.
When I opened the package, it was a bottle of olive oil. I didn't understand.
Where's the bottle?
In my purse?
Marley, what's going on? Just pour a little on the dance floor over there. It's where Cassidy is.
Marley, no! I refuse to do that! What if someone did that to you?
How bad could it be? She will slip, land on her butt, and everyone will laugh. Have a little fun. Just do it. And plus, it's part of the initiation if you want to hang out with the popular crowd.
How bad could it be? Pretty bad, it turns out. Cassidy slipped and landed on her arm instead, and then the other kids who tried helping her up also slipped. The dance had to be stopped, and Cassidy was taken in an ambulance to the hospital. As soon as I could, I ran outside the dance hall and found Marley with her dad. He looked completely healthy.
Marley, you told me your dad was sick!
Well, he's better now.
I felt like such a buffoon for listening to Marley. The next day at school, the principal made an announcement at the morning assembly.
The senior prom is cancelled. We'll give the guilty party 3 days to confess.
What does that even mean? I couldn't deal with Marley right now, so I moved over to the empty seat next to me. She didn't even care about what happened to Cassidy. During recess, I tried to avoid Marley completely, but she still didn't get the picture.
What's your problem? My problem? Marley, Cassidy has to wear a cast for who knows how long, and the prom is canceled all because of us! Us? You're crazy! You put the oil on the dance floor!
Marley spoke so loudly that everyone there turned to look at us. Soon after, I was called to the principal's office, and I was shocked to see my parents there as well.
Thank you for coming, Mr. and Mrs. Miller. Aria's foolish behavior caused a terrible accident. It is for this reason we have decided to suspend her for 2 weeks. She will also have to miss prom. Thank you. We appreciate your leniency. Please convey our thanks to Cassidy's parents as well, who decided not to press charges.
We will deal with Aria.
Deal with me? I hadn't seen Mom so stern before. And it was all Marley's fault!
Aria, you have been acting up for a while now, but this behavior is not acceptable.
I could hear their voices, but I was so angry at Marley for letting all the blame fall on me that I wasn't really listening. But Mom knew how to grab my attention.
You're grounded for a month.
A month? That's not fair!
One more word, young lady, and it will be 2 months.
I just kept thinking about how I was going to get back at Marley, and now it felt like I was being bolted to the floor of my house, not able to move about anywhere other than here. As I sat in my room, thinking about how I disappointed my parents and how foolishly I acted for the past few weeks following Marley around, I broke down crying because everything was so messed up. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder.
Cassidy, when did you get here?
I just came to say I forgive you.
Oh, Cassidy, I'm so sorry. I don't know how things got so out of control.
I'm so sorry for choosing Marley over you.
Oh, it had to happen. Marley is a firecracker. She just needs someone to light her fuse and then it blows up. Usually in your face.
Wait, what? You knew about her?
Oh yeah. She was at one of my old schools a long time ago and got suspended. But this was a lesson you had to learn on your own. A word of advice, don't try to get even. People like her just don't know when to stop.
I had no idea why I doubted my mom and dad, or Cassidy. Thank you for being such a good friend, Cassidy. The next day, Mom and Dad weren't so angry anymore. All was forgotten, and it was time to look forward. Morning, sleepyhead. Did you rest well?
I made your favorite, pancakes.
After a few months, everyone at school forgot about what happened at the fall dance, but I couldn't help but notice that Cassidy was not her usual self. Is everything okay with you? No, I need to tell you something. Okay.
When I came to this school, it wasn't my choice. I lived in an orphanage most of my life, and finally a nice couple adopted me. It was just a coincidence that they lived closer to your school.
Wow! And summer camp? Did your parents send you there too?
No, the orphanage sent me there, before I could go off with my adoptive parents.
Oh, Cassidy, why did you keep this a secret?
Because I just wanted to be a normal kid. But now I have to leave again. The couple that adopted me, they lost their business and they can't afford to take care of me.
I was heartbroken when I heard her story, and I felt so bad for even being jealous of her once. A few days before Cassidy could be sent back to the orphanage, I invited her over to my house for supper.
Thank you all for having me. It was lovely meeting you.
Well, you could stay longer, if you want to.
Dad handed a letter to Cassidy, which I already knew what it was, and we all smiled waiting for her reaction. You're adopting me? I immediately hugged her and we both cried. Yes!
Welcome home, sister.
So there's ordinary rich, and then there's rich rich. Unfortunately, I was just ordinary rich. Or I guess you could say fortunately, if you're poor. Anyway, my mom and dad were corporate lawyers and I lived with them and my older sister Cindy, who was more gorgeous than the most attractive model you can think of.
Aubrey, don't worry. It's because you're still growing. You're only 15 and I'm 17. I'm sure that by the time you reach my age, you'll be a total hottie too.
She'd tried to convince me from time to time. But if you looked at both of us, you'd be convinced that one of us was adopted because we looked nothing alike. I was just plain and boring looking. No one ever gave me a second look. But with Cindy, they'd stop and stare. Some would even want to take pictures with her. I bet you want to know how that eventually changed for me, right? Well, keep watching. I went to this super expensive school, and even though my parents were rich, they still struggled to pay the fees. But my classmates? Remember what I said about ordinary rich and rich rich? Well, they were loaded. The kids of multi-millionaires and billionaires. By the time most of them had their licenses, they'd drive to school in the most expensive cars imaginable, and sometimes, if they got into little accidents, they wouldn't mind. They'd just ask their parents to buy them a new car, even if it was just a scratch. No one paid much attention to me at that school. I had one friend named Regina, and we'd eat lunch together sometimes, but I spent most of my time in the library writing stories. I lived in my own little world, and I loved bringing it to life on paper. I had notebooks and notebooks filled with stories that I was hoping to publish someday. My parents wanted me to inherit their law firm, but I just wanted to be a writer. The beautiful girls in my class used to tease me about it all the time.
Oh, there's plain Aubrey writing in her stupid notebooks again. That's so lame. Instead of writing, why don't you go learn about fashion? Your clothes are ridiculous, and good gracious, you could use a whole lot of concealer and foundation on that face of yours. Yeah, and what's up with your hair? Ugh.
I went home crying that day, and Cindy greeted me with a hug.
Aw, what's wrong?
Everyone's laughing at me because I'm ugly.
They're just stupid. And besides, you couldn't be ugly if you tried. Anyway, I do have some good news for you.
What is it?
Well, it's your birthday next week and I signed you up for a total makeover. Not because I think you're ugly or anything. It's just that you're turning 16, and that's a good time for a change.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I wasn't too sure about it at first, but I just went along with their idea. My birthday came and we left that morning to go to a special type of salon where they took care of every part of your body. Hair, nails, face, toes, everything. I spent about 5 hours there, and when they were done, I could barely recognize myself. I was a total babe. Not only did they give me a makeover, but they also explained to me how I could maintain what they'd done. But it got better. When I got home, my few friends and all my family were there to celebrate my birthday. It was honestly one of the best days of my life because everyone kept telling me how beautiful I looked. The next week, when I got to school, people kept coming up to me asking if I was a new kid. When I sat in my regular seat in class, the mean girls surrounded me, and when they realized I wasn't really a new student, they looked a bit angry and walked away. Were they jealous of me? Then, 2 best friends, Alvin and Theo, came to sit next to me. They looked totally enchanted.
Hey Aubrey, you look different. Yeah, you're like a total hottie now. Do you want to go out with me next Saturday? Hey Alvin, shut up! I was gonna ask her out. Well, I asked first. It doesn't matter. Hey Aubrey, do you want to go out with me or this loser?
I was shocked. It was the first time any guy had asked me out. And the fact that 2 guys were fighting for my attention was enough to give me a headache. A good one. But hey, I forgot to mention that Alvin and Theo were billionaires. Their families were super rich, and they only hit on girls who were as rich as they were. Guys, please don't fight. Maybe I can go out with both of you. They agreed, but looked upset. They went back to their seats, but looked angry with each other for the rest of the day. I thought they'd sort things out amongst each other because guys are usually easygoing like that. But when I got home and checked my social media pages, I noticed that they deleted all the pictures they had together. Then they threw passive-aggressive remarks at each other, and I couldn't believe that this was really happening. I went to my sister's room to talk to her about it.
Oh yeah? Theo and Alvin? Everyone's talking about it. You're a total hottie now, so that's expected. It happens to me all the time. Welcome to the club.
So, how do I deal with it?
I have an idea.
The next morning, everyone gathered in the main hall for assembly. The principal was going over the boring rules, and then he started talking about friendship. That was when it happened.
Yeah, Principal George, I think you need to say that stuff louder for the people in the back. Yeah, people like Theo. Actually, I was referring to you, Alvin, you backstabbing son of a... Don't you ever come at me like that!
Suddenly, Alvin flew on top of Theo and they started fighting. The principal dropped his mic and stared. Clearly, he was confused. Then, what I saw baffled me even more. Cindy walked up to the stage and took the microphone from the principal.
Okay, boys, stop fighting. Everyone, listen to me, please.
The room went quiet.
These guys are both madly in love with my little sister Aubrey since her, glow-up. She's a total hottie, right?
The crowd cheered. I turned completely red.
So here's my idea. Alvin and Theo, stop fighting. The 2 of you have to plan the most romantic date ever. You will both take my sister out at different times. Whoever plans the best date gets to be with my sister. Well, if she agrees, that is.
Alvin and Theo let each other go and stared. The crowd continued to cheer.
There, so that's that. We'll flip a coin to see who goes first. Alvin, your heads. Theo, your tails.
She took a coin and flipped it.
Alvin is first. You can have your date this Saturday. Theo, yours will be the following Saturday. Are we cool, everyone?
The boys nodded and the crowd cheered again. The principal took the microphone back and asked everyone to calm down. He didn't even comment on what had happened. I guess he didn't know what to say. I mean, I don't know what to say either. So let me skip the boring parts and get straight to my date with Alvin. His father has a few private jets because, like I mentioned already, he's a billionaire. Can you believe that he took me to France? He got his parents to ask mine for permission first, and they thought it was a really good opportunity, so they let me go. Now, most ordinary girls have their first dates at ice cream shops and pizza parlors, but mine was in Paris. The trip there was so romantic. We sat at a dimly lit table after we took off and had some non-alcoholic champagne because my parents told me I was still too young to drink. We played a few video games and then fell asleep. When we got to France, he had the whole day planned out for us perfectly. A tour guide came to pick us up from the airport and we had a tour of Paris. Then he took me to see the Eiffel Tower, and after that, we had a romantic dinner. On the way back home, we sat close to each other and I eventually fell asleep on his shoulder. When we were almost about to land, he woke me up and said,
So, did you enjoy your date?
Of course I did. I had a wonderful time. Then he leaned in for a kiss and I nearly exploded inside. My first kiss after my first date in Paris on a private jet. How would Theo be able to top that? I wasn't even sure I wanted him to because I was already falling for Alvin. I'm gonna skip the boring parts of the next week and get straight to my date with Theo.
Hey, I heard that Alvin took you to France, but I have something much better. We're going to Thailand. I read one of your stories and I realized that you love learning about historical sites and that you're fascinated with other cultures.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Of course, Theo's parents also had their own private jet too, so getting there was no challenge. Because it was so far away, my parents allowed me to stay there for 2 nights on the condition that Theo and I slept in separate rooms. I couldn't believe they were being so lenient, but I guess it had something to do with him being filthy rich. Thailand was awesome. We spent one day at an amazing beach where we went rafting, kayaking, and snorkeling. I saw so many awesome sea creatures that I kept dreaming about them for months later. I learned a lot about Theo, and he seemed like a pretty nice guy. The next day, we went exploring some of the temples and other historical sites. We even went to an elephant sanctuary, which was probably the highlight of the trip. While we were there, I held hands with Theo, and I thought that I was beginning to like him a lot more than Alvin. When I eventually got home, I explained to my sister that it was really hard to make a decision. I was falling for both of them. She laughed, then left her room because she had to go to the bathroom. She left her phone on her bed and I picked it up to take a selfie. I took about 10 of them, and as I was scrolling through them to decide which one I liked best, I ended up scrolling too far. Way too far. And what I saw made my heart sink. There was a picture of Cindy kissing Alvin. I checked the date and it was just 3 days ago, while I was out with Theo. Just as I was about to knock on the bathroom door to throw the phone in her face to ask her what that was about, I saw a text come in from Theo.
Just got back from my date with your sister. She's not half as amazing as you, though. Would you still consider going out with me? I miss you so much, babe, and I can't stop thinking about the last time we made out.
It turns out that even though I was hot, Theo and Alvin were just using me to get to my sister. Apparently, they'd had crushes on her for like ever, and they had a bet between the two of them to see who could be her boyfriend. Instead of confronting my sister, I sent the picture and a screenshot of the text to myself and I posted it on all my social media pages. Now, everyone knew that Theo and Alvin were just jerks, and no girls wanted to date them anymore. My sister and I still aren't talking, and I don't know if things will ever be the same again. On the plus side, I'm still hot, so I will have my fair share of guys in the future. For now, I'm just focusing on my writing. I'm going to be hot, rich, and famous someday.
Nora, don't worry. She won't find out.
You don't know my mom.
Stop hurrying. Have some fun. This carnival is only set up here once every 5 years. Yeah, look. Have some of my cotton candy.
Oh, look. It's a mini roller coaster. Let's go on that one.
Then I want to go to the haunted house.
Fine. I had an exhilarating night. I was only 14 years old and it was the first time I'd ever snuck out with my friends. You're probably wondering why I needed to sneak out, because what I was doing with my friends was totally harmless. Well, my mom was a total tiger mom. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was only allowed to go to and from school, and she completely controlled all of my extracurricular activities. I had gymnastics on Tuesdays and Thursdays, piano on Wednesdays, and swimming on Fridays. Apart from those days, I had to be either at home or school. If I went anywhere, it had to be with her, my dad, and my younger sister Lily. I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers with my friends or to go to any of theirs. I had to top every single class or I was punished. And just like the original Tiger Mom, my mom didn't allow me to participate in anything fun at school. No school plays, no fun days, nothing. In fact, if my mom found out that we were having a fun activity at school on a particular day, she'd force me to stay home to study. If you think this sounds awful, keep watching because it gets worse, especially after my little escapade with my friends. So you can probably guess that sometimes I felt like I needed a break. I was frustrated and sad. And when my friends suggested that I sneak out to go to the carnival, I hesitated for a while, but I eventually agreed. I thought my plan was foolproof. I'd come home after school and tell her that I had a big test to study for the next day. Then I'd change my clothes and sneak out of my window to meet my friends. My mom never disturbed me while I was studying, so I felt like I didn't have to worry about that. I left the window open a bit, so it'd be easier to sneak back in when I got back. I came back home at about 7, which is not late at all, right? After having the time of my life, I thought my night could only get better, but boy was I wrong. I opened my bedroom window and tiptoed inside. I walked over to my light and switched it on.
Oh, so you're back?
Mom, what are you doing in here?
Should I be the one asking questions right now?
I went over to Emily's house to study instead of staying here.
Don't lie to me. Look at this picture Emily posted a few minutes ago on Instagram. You were all at that carnival downtown. Look, isn't this you?
She pushed the phone in front of my face and I recognized myself. Mom, you're following Emily on Instagram? I didn't even know you had an account.
I made a fake account so I'd know what you're doing all the time. It's finally served me well. Now explain yourself.
I explained to my mom that I needed a break. I told her the truth, hoping she'd go easy on me, but...
That's it. You're not allowed to have friends anymore.
What?
You heard me. And you're changing schools by the end of the week.
What? But that punishment makes no sense.
What makes no sense is your behavior. Go shower and go to bed.
My mom left my room. I had a miserable shower, then went to sleep crying. I hoped that I'd wake up the next day and she'd have changed her mind, but when I got up, she told me I'd be staying home that day. She took my sister to school and my dad left for work. I was home alone for a while, then my mom came back with a huge smile on her face.
You got in.
In where?
Into the most prestigious private school in our state. Here, I already bought your uniforms. Go try them on.
The uniforms were hideous. It was a white undershirt, orange jacket, and a plaid green and orange skirt. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt like I was going to barf.
Wow, that looks awesome. You're starting tomorrow.
Can I say goodbye to my friends one last time?
No.
I wanted to cry. The next day, my mom dropped me off at my new school. Before I got out of the car, she reminded me that I wasn't allowed to have friends.
If they say hello, you can say hello back, but that's as far as it goes. If I find out that you are making any friends, there will be severe consequences. And trust me when I say severe.
I got out of the car and she said nothing comforting to me. So here I was, starting a new school, for no reason. Why did she have to be like this? I walked into the building and everyone ignored me. We're off to a great start, I guess, I thought. I tried to find my way to the principal's office because I had no idea what class I was in or where I was supposed to be going. The place was so huge that I ended up getting lost, so I asked a cute little first-year student to help me, and she took me to the office.
Hello, are you Nora?
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard lots of awful things about you. Your mother says you're totally out of control, but this place is sure to straighten you out.
My mother said, what? At this point, I was about to explode. I was a perfect child with straight A's and exemplary behavior. I'd only done a bad thing once. And this is what she said about me?
Don't worry. I believe in new beginnings. This is a great school. Here, I printed your schedule for you. Your first class is French.
She walked me to my first class. The teacher wasted no time and asked me to introduce myself in French to the entire class. I was a bit embarrassed, but by the time I was done, some of my classmates were clapping.
Wow, your French is perfect. How lovely.
I sat next to a cute boy who winked at me and smiled. I smiled back, then sat down and took out my notebook. After class, he walked over to my desk.
Hey, my name is Jamal. What's yours?
It's Nora.
Do you want me to show you around the school? I could meet you at lunchtime and give you a tour.
Sure, I quickly replied because, like I already mentioned, he was cute. Like, really cute. Like, no boys at my previous school were this cute. But then I remembered what my mom said, and I was crushed. Wait a minute, I just remembered I have something to do in the library. Maybe I can meet you after school. I ran to look for my next class and spent the rest of the day trying to avoid him. That night, as I tried to fall asleep, all I could think about was Jamal and his cute smile. I wished I could at least get to know him, and I wished I was allowed to have friends. The next day, he tried to sit next to me for every class. I kept giving him one-word responses when he spoke to me, but he didn't seem annoyed or frustrated at all. Instead, he became more persistent. The day after, he started passing me notes.
You're shy, aren't you? By the way, you have gorgeous eyes.
I melted. I decided to write one back. I'm not really shy. It's just that my mom says I'm not allowed to have friends. Also, I think you're really cute. He blushed as he read it, and we continued passing notes to each other for the rest of the day. His last note that day was,
Have a wonderful night. Love always, your secret friend.
Now if you think this story is just another love story with a happy ending waiting to happen, think again. Because in my life, good moments just don't last. We continued passing each other notes for about a week. Then one Friday afternoon, he sent this.
It's been great talking to you, and I'm glad you transferred to this school. Since I'm your secret friend, do you think maybe we could go on a secret date sometime?
I smiled at him and shoved the note into my backpack. I thought about how wonderful it would be, just me and him on a hot date. But how would we pull that off? I decided I'd go home and think about it. The next day, I couldn't really concentrate on anything because I was thinking about how I could go on a date with Jamal. After dinner, I went up to my room to get started on my homework, and my mom was standing there looking angrier than I'd ever seen her.
What is this?
What, Mom?
I found this note in your backpack.
Mom, why are you going through my things?
Because I don't trust you. So first you sneak out with some girls, and now you're making plans to meet a boy? And you've been talking to him? When I specifically told you that you're not allowed to speak to anyone? You're despicable, Nora.
She left my room and slammed the door. I was terrified because I didn't know what to expect next. I couldn't concentrate on any homework because my mind was racing. I went to my bed and fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up to loud banging noises on my bedroom door. I opened the door and saw 2 cops standing outside.
Are you Nora?
Yes?
Pack a bag, you're coming with us.
My mom appeared behind them smirking. Mom, what's going on? Where am I going? I can't be going to jail for passing notes in class. That's crazy.
I told them what you did.
What?
That you've been stealing from that convenience store a few blocks away.
What are you talking about? I've never stolen a thing in my life. She turned to one of the police officers and tried to explain to him that I was just lying. But at that moment, I started to realize what my mother had done. She'd framed me for a crime, and now my life was going to take a horrible turn. I didn't know what to do, so I left with the police. I mean, where would I run? And my mom was clearly doing nothing to defend me. And don't talk about my dad. He just let her do anything.
So listen, dear. We all do wrong things in life. This is why rehabilitation centers exist, and I'm hoping that the one we take you to will transform your life.
Rehabilitation center?
You're going to juvie, darling.
What? No! I burst into tears. There was no way I'd last more than a second in there. I was as fragile as a rose, and they were about to put me in a place with a bunch of rough girls who had done really bad things. Can you imagine the horror? It was more awful than I could have imagined. There were 5 girls assigned to each room, and it seemed like the girls in my room didn't like me from the beginning. We had to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning to shower and get ready for the day. We had classes in the center, so I wasn't allowed to go to school, and I had no way to communicate with Jamal. I was heartbroken, and I hoped he didn't think I just left without saying goodbye. The middle of the day was when we were allowed to go outside for a while to play sports. This is when many fights happen, so sometimes that part of the day was canceled. It was sometime during my second week, I met Gina on the basketball court. She looked like one of the baddest girls in there, but for some strange reason, she seemed to like me.
You don't look like you belong here. What did you do?
Nothing. My mom just hates me.
I understand. I mean, I've done lots of awful things, but my mom hates me too. I'll look out for you, little Nora.
She winked. I don't even know where she learnt my name. Gina came to my defense several times in that place. There was this one time some girls wanted to beat me up for some shampoo, but she taught them a lesson, and they never bothered me again. It turned out that we were supposed to get out at the same time, and when we discovered this, she had a bright idea.
Don't go back there.
Where?
To your house. Your mom is only going to make your life more miserable.
So, where am I going to go?
Come with me. You can stay with my family. Well, not my biological family, my street family. We'll take care of you. Then you can talk to Jamal all you want.
So I sat down and considered both of my options.
The first was to go back home with my mom, who would continue hurting me for no reason, or to go with my new friend to a completely different life, where I would have more control. What do you think I chose? I went with Gina. When we were both released, I hid behind her as she walked to her friend's car. My mom was also there to pick me up, but I made sure she didn't see me, and then we sped away. My life is still complicated today, though. I don't go to school anymore, and I've had to do lots of bad things to survive, but I'm much happier than I was before. Jamal and I text all the time now, but I'm not sure I'm his type anymore. I hope that someday I will be able to save enough money to start going to school again and to build a normal life for myself. But for now, I'm just trying my best.
I opened my eyes and immediately closed them again. The glare from the lights above me were too bright for my eyes to handle. I blinked a couple of times and tried again. This time I managed to focus, but as I looked around me, I had no idea where I was. All I could see were machines, and all I could hear was a strange beeping noise. Suddenly, I realized where I was. I was in a hospital room. What happened? What am I doing here?
No, you're awake.
You've been in a coma, darling.
But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to make sure you don't end up in the same predicament as me. What do you mean, a coma? How? What happened? As my parents began to explain what had happened to me, I grew more and more shocked.
You got into a car crash, and because of your injuries, the doctors put you into a coma for a month. Your body needed time to heal, but there's nothing to worry about. They have said that you're doing fine now.
I couldn't believe what they were telling me. I couldn't recall anything about a car crash. In fact, I couldn't remember much. About a week after I woke up from a coma, I was allowed to leave the hospital. I was happy to be going home, and I couldn't wait to get back to school to see all of my friends. But my first day back at school didn't go quite as well as I thought it would. I expected my friends to be really happy to see me, but instead, they looked quite shocked. And I'm not really sure why, but I had the feeling that they were actually a bit scared. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me so strangely?
Your parents.
But before he had a chance to continue what he was saying, one of my other friends cut him off by jabbing his elbow into his side.
We're just happy to have you back.
Even though he was smiling as he said it, I had a really strong feeling that the smile was fake. When I got home from school, I told my parents about my friends acting so weird.
Oh, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. They were probably just shocked to see you out of the hospital so soon.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe I misunderstood their looks. I decided that my parents were probably right, and I should just forget about what had happened at school. I'm going up to my room now. I'm pretty exhausted after my first day at school.
Okay, darling. Probably best not to overdo things too soon.
But when I tried to go to sleep, I couldn't. I kept on remembering the looks on my friends' faces when they saw me. I was lying there thinking about it when I suddenly heard the sound of my dad's car engine starting up. I peered out of my bedroom window and saw that both Mom and Dad were in their car. That's strange. I wonder where they're going to at this time of night. I decided that I would follow them. I couldn't get to sleep anyway, so I might as well satisfy my curiosity. I jumped on my bike and raced after my parents. Dad never drove very fast, so it wasn't difficult for me to keep up with them. I followed them as they drove through the streets of our town. Eventually, they pulled into a car park of our local park. I watched as they walked into the park. Suddenly, I spotted my friends walking over from the other side of the park towards my parents. I didn't want them to see me, so I hid in a bush and listened as my parents started talking to my friends. I could only catch a couple of words. It sounded like they had said clone and died, but I couldn't be certain. But one thing I was certain about, my parents sounded pretty angry at my friends. I could see my dad pointing his finger and his manner seemed very aggressive. I had no idea what was going on, but I suddenly started to freak out. I jumped on my bike and started pedaling like mad to get home before my parents. The mood my dad was in, I didn't want him to realize that I had been out of the house. In the morning, my parents acted as though everything was normal. Neither of them mentioned that they had seen my friends the night before. Mom made us breakfast and chatted about what she was going to be doing that day. I didn't say that I had seen them go out the night before. It was obvious that they wanted to keep it a secret from me. When I arrived at school, my friends were standing in a group in the corner of the playground. I marched straight up to them and demanded to know what was going on. I saw you all last night. I know you met up with my parents and I heard everything you said. That was actually a lie, but they didn't know that. Even though I'd only heard a couple of words, I decided I would try to bluff it out. I know all about the clone. My friends' faces fell in shock when they heard what I had said.
Well, so he knows. Now what are we gonna do?
I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to tell me everything. My friends looked at each other and sighed.
I guess you deserve to know the truth.
They went on to explain to me exactly what had happened.
You didn't have a car crash. That was just a lie. Actually, we'd all been out on a camping trip to celebrate your birthday. We went far out, into the middle of nowhere. It was just your parents, you, and all of us. One day, you were walking along the cliff edge when you tripped over this boulder and fell straight over the cliff into the ocean. You died instantly. We were all distraught, but your parents seemed fine about it. Yeah, and when they saw what happened, they just took a machine out of their car and right before our eyes, they made a clone of you.
I couldn't believe what my friends were telling me.
We asked your parents how they had done it. They explained that they were both scientists and had been cloning you throughout your childhood. Yeah, they said you were pretty prone to having accidents and tragedies, so they kept on cloning you instead of having to face your death. If we hadn't witnessed them cloning you with our own eyes, we probably would never have believed it.
I didn't know what to say. I was literally speechless. I just stood there with my mouth open wide, trying to comprehend what they had just told me. So, am I a clone? But before any of my friends had a chance to answer, we heard the screech of tires and saw my parents' car coming to a stop outside the school gates. My mom and dad jumped straight out of the car and ran into the school towards us. I could see that my friends were terrified. Within seconds, my parents had tied up all of my friends. Mom, Dad, stop! What do you think you're doing? I ran over to my friend Adam and started untying the rope that was around his hands. Suddenly, I felt a sharp prick as a needle was pushed into my arm. 2 seconds later, everything went black. I woke up and squinted as the bright sunshine coming through the window hit me straight in the eyes. I blinked a couple of times. At first I thought I must be dreaming, but no, I was definitely awake. But what I saw around me was like something out of a nightmare. All of my friends were inside big glass tubes suspended in water. They were all asleep. Well, at least I hoped they were just asleep. Then I noticed that my parents were in the room. They were standing in front of a machine which was whirring away. Suddenly, the machine pinged, and I watched as I saw a clone of my friend Adam emerging from the machine. Adam looked at me and smiled. It was all too much for me to take in. I felt blackness begin to envelop me, and then I passed out. I woke up and blinked my eyes. I had no idea where I was. Then I realized that my parents and all my friends were standing beside my bed. I couldn't remember anything.
No, thank God. You're all right?
What happened to me? What am I doing here?
You were in a car crash, darling. So the doctors put you into a coma to let your body have time to heal.
We're so happy you're awake. We missed you at school so much.
I was shocked at what my parents had told me, but I was happy that I had come out of the coma and was fine. When I got back to school, all my friends made me feel so welcome.
It's good to have you back, Noel. We were worried about you for a while.
It's nice to be back. I settled back into school life and tried to forget that I'd ever been in a coma. My parents didn't seem too worried about me, so I knew that I wasn't going to suffer any lasting effects. I was at home one Saturday morning when my mom came into my room.
Your dad and I have to go out today. You'll be okay to get yourself some lunch, won't you?
Of course, Mom. You don't need to worry about me. I'll probably just spend the day watching TV and playing some online games.
Okay, well, don't spend too much time in front of your computer. It's not good for you.
I laughed at my mom. Okay, I won't. I made myself a sandwich and sat down to watch a movie. I watched movie after movie, but eventually I began to get a bit bored. I decided that I would go down to my dad's basement to have a look at what he was working on. My parents were scientists, so he was always in the middle of one experiment or another. He didn't usually let me go down to his basement without him, but he wouldn't even know I had been in there. I went down the steps to the basement and pushed the door. It was locked, but I knew Dad kept the key on the ledge above the door. I reached up for the key. Sure enough, it was there. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. Ah! What I saw as I entered the room made me scream out loud. The room was full of big glass tubes, and each one of them held one of my friends. They were suspended in water and fast asleep. Oh my God, what is going on? Why has my dad got my friends here in glass tubes? Suddenly, I heard the sound of my parents coming back. I quickly locked the door and put the key back in its place and ran back up the stairs. I reached the top just as my dad opened the front door.
No, what are you doing?
Oh, just going to the kitchen for some orange juice. Would you like some?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
My dad gave me a strange look. He was probably wondering if I had seen what was in the basement, but I didn't show anything on my face. Then my mom came into the house. Hey Mom, I was wondering, do you think we could all go out for dinner tonight as a celebration for me coming out of the coma?
That sounds like a lovely idea. We'll go for pizza.
I had no intention of going out for dinner with them. I just needed a plan to get them out of the house. I played along with it until it was 5 minutes before we were due to leave. Actually, Mom, I'm not really feeling that great. Why don't you and Dad go out? I don't want to ruin your evening.
Well, if you're sure. I mean, we can stay home too. We don't mind.
No, honestly, I'll be fine. I'm probably just gonna go straight to bed anyway.
Okay, darling. We won't be late home.
I listened until I heard the sound of their car turning out of the end of our street. Then I ran down the stairs and unlocked the basement door. I began to open up all the glass tubes. The water ran out, and slowly, each one of my friends began to wake up.
No, you saved us!
What's going on? Why would my dad do this to you all?
Because they have cloned us, just like they've cloned you.
What? I'm not a clone.
Oh, yes, you are! You didn't really have a car crash. They just told you that. Actually, they've been cloning you all of your life.
I don't believe you.
Well, if you don't believe us, we'll prove it to you. Come with us.
I followed my friends through a door at the back of the basement. I had always wondered what was in that room, but whenever I asked my dad, he always brushed it off.
Nothing for you to worry your head about.
But when I went through the door, I did more than worry. I screamed in terror. Ah! In front of me were dozens and dozens of clones, and they were all clones of me. Each one of them looked as though they had died in some terrible accident. One of them didn't even have a head, while others had various metal objects protruding out of their bodies.
You see, all your life you've been accident prone. So, instead of having to face your death, your parents cloned you each time you died.
Yes, Noel. That's right. We did.
I turned around to see my mom and dad standing in the doorway. Why? Why would you do that?
We couldn't face the thought of not having you here with us. So each time you had a terrible accident, we would just make another one of you.
Mom, Dad, you have to stop doing this. Promise me that if something happens to me, you'll just let me die.
No, we can't do that. We love you too much.
But what you're doing now is insane. You can't meddle with life like that.
But if something happened to you, our lives wouldn't be worth living.
I understand that, but I have to live my life naturally. What will be, will be.
Okay, if that's what you really want.
It is. And also, you have to let my friends go.
But we can't do that. We've already put their clones out into the world.
Well, you'll have to get rid of them somehow. My friend stood beside me, patiently waiting to see what my parents would do.
Okay, we will send the clones to live in another country. They will be well cared for. We have enough money to look after them all. All your friends are free to go.
I ran over to my parents and put my arms around both of them. Thank you. Thank you.
Just don't get yourself into any more accidents, okay, son?
Okay, Dad.
Hey, Alyssa, where are you going in such a hurry?
A familiar voice called out to me. I spun around to see Crystal walking briskly to meet up with me. It was the first day of the new semester, and I couldn't help but feel very conscious about my attire. My shoes had holes in the toes. My clothing was washed out, and my book bag was held together with a large, very noticeable safety pin. I worked all vacation to get money to purchase new clothes and shoes for school, but my grandma got sick the last 2 weeks, and I gave my mother the money to help with her medication. "Hey, Chris," I said as she came and stood next to me. She looked me over.
I thought you were getting new clothes this semester.
I rolled my eyes and continued walking. Grandma got sick. You know how it goes.
Is Grandma okay?
She's at home now. I tripped, and the underneath of one of my sneakers flew off and skated across the floor right in front of the popular kids. I stood there frozen with embarrassment as Chris ran to get it. She said as she returned by my side.
I have some crazy glue in my bag. We can fix this.
Tears streamed down my face as Chris gently pulled me towards the bathroom. Hi, my name's Alyssa. Like and subscribe to our channel, and of course hit that notification bell. This way, you don't miss out on any of our amazing stories. After school, Crystal and I volunteered at a Woman's Worth Big Sister program. After our session with the children, Mrs. Osborne told the volunteers that if we don't get any more donations, she would have no choice but to close the program. We left the center, not sure how we could help Mrs. Osborne and save the program.
What about if we had a cake sale?
Crystal asked me as we headed home. Nah, that wouldn't make as much as we need. We passed by the mini mart and saw the sign. This week's lottery, $18 million. What if we each bought a ticket? I said excitedly as we stood outside the mini mart.
You do know that the lottery is a money-making scheme by the government, right? Nobody ever wins. But if you want to, I guess I can't stop you.
I darted into the mini mart and purchased a ticket. It was my last $5, but if I won... I came out and Crystal asked,
So what are you going to buy when you win the lottery?
Well, first, I'll purchase a new pair of sneakers, I said as I lifted one foot and criticized my shoe. Crystal and I laughed as we thought about all the outlandish things we would purchase, like tigers to have as pets and crowns with large jewels. I waved Crystal goodbye as we stopped in front of my home. I placed the lottery ticket in my pencil case for safekeeping till tomorrow night before heading to bed. Before our English test the next day, which was our last class of the day, Crystal tapped me on my shoulder.
Hey, do you have an extra pen I could borrow?
Just then the teacher walked in. I handed Crystal my pencil case to retrieve the pen. I forgot that Crystal had my pencil case until I sat in front of the television awaiting the lottery numbers that night. I sat glued to the television, beads of sweat forming on my forehead, wringing my hands nervously as the numbers appeared on the screen, one by one. 3, 7, 9, 11, 16, 20. I won! I won! I screamed as I danced across the living room floor. What's going on here? My mom asked as she walked in. I won the lottery! I screamed as I pulled her to dance with me. That's great, honey. Just make sure and keep the ticket in a safe place until you cash it. It is, I said as I smiled at my mom. That night I couldn't help but wonder if Crystal checked the lottery ticket. What if she didn't go to school the next day but instead went to cash the ticket? I had to calm my mind and tell myself that Crystal was my best friend, and she would never betray me like that. That night I felt as though my heart and mind was in a battle of their own. As soon as Crystal saw me at school the next day, she handed over my pencil case. I looked at her and said softly, I won the lottery. I wanted to open the pencil case and see if the ticket was there, but I knew Crystal's feelings would have been hurt. She held my hands.
Are you serious? I am so happy for you.
I couldn't wait to get to class to have an excuse to open my pencil case. When I finally got to class, I opened the pencil case slowly and breathed a sigh of relief when I saw the lottery ticket. After school, Crystal and I went together to exchange the ticket. Once they identified that the ticket was genuine, I was given a check. We went to the bank and they said that after a 7-day period, the money would be accessible to me. The next 7 days seemed like an eternity. It seemed longer than the tight scarves the clown pulls from his trousers when doing a show. It felt like torture. Finally, the day arrived when my money was released. I quickly checked my bank account and there it was, $18 million. I called my mother and told her that I was taking her grocery shopping. It felt nice to be able to shop without constantly tallying your total along the way. After grocery shopping, I invited Crystal to go to the mall with me. After shopping, Crystal and I went to dinner. How else can we celebrate this new win for us? I asked.
How about we throw a party? At least this way we have a chance to show off some of the new outfits we got.
I think that's a great idea. Let's invite everyone.
I agree. This party is going to be the best party ever.
Over the next few days, everyone at school realized that something about me changed. I felt like a new person. It was the first time I was able to walk the corridors of any school with confidence. Crystal and I's first party was lit. We kept it at a private pool house. There was enough food and drinks to feed an army. We danced until our legs hurt. It was the best night of my life. Over the next few weeks, I bought a huge house and moved my grandma and my mom out of our tiny apartment. I got my mom a new car, and I also got my license and bought myself a car. By this time, I was having parties every weekend. Because of this, I slowly fell into the popular crowd. My life was now focused on partying in the latest fashion. I spent less time with my studies, family, and Crystal. I was living my best life, and I loved it. At the end of the semester, my mom asked about my grades. I signed into my account while my mother looked over my shoulder. My mother gasped when my grades appeared on my computer screen. Alyssa, what? I asked as I moved away from the computer. How are you going to attain your degree if you don't pass your courses? Mom sounded really disappointed, but I shrugged it off. I no longer need an education, Mom. I have money. Isn't the point of getting an education to get a job so you can get money? So I skipped a few steps. I'm set for life, Mom. I can't believe you just said that, Alyssa. My mother shook her head and walked out of the room. I shrugged my shoulders as I got ready for my date. Tonight, I was going out with Darren. Lately, I've had a lot of dates. Ah, yes, the things money can buy, I said as I twirled in my mini dress in front of the mirror. My dates never amounted to anything, since they usually wanted me to pay for dinner or purchase something for them. My last date, John, even asked me to purchase dinner for him to take home. I didn't mind as much as I was just happy to be noticed. When I got home from my date, my mom was waiting up for me. Do you know what time it is, Alyssa? It's 2 a.m. Mom, I'm 19. Last time I checked, I don't need your permission to stay out. You don't need my permission, but it would have been nice if you called to let me know where you were. Did you forget that tonight was Grandma's 85th birthday party? Mom, every time I go to one of those parties, I have to kiss a bunch of old people. You made me do it when I was younger. I don't want to do it anymore. Mrs. Osborne also called and said you have been missing sessions at the Big Sister program. And so what? I have a life now. I really hoped that money wouldn't change you, but I guess I was wrong. You don't get it, do you? I finally have friends. People actually like me. What about Crystal? When was the last time you spent time with her? Do you think these other people like you? They only like what you can give them. I walked away, went to my bedroom and locked the door. The next day, my mother and Grandma weren't at home. I found a note on the kitchen counter telling me that they moved back to their apartment. Immediately, I called Crystal. I have never lived on my own before.
Hi,
she said dryly. Hi, Mom and Grandma moved out. Do you want to come over and hang out?
You actually want to hang out with me? What about your new friends? Are they too busy today?
Look, Crystal.
No, you look. I'm not an object that you can pick up and use when you want. I was there when you had nothing, and as soon as you won the lottery, you forgot who was there for you. No wonder your mom and grandma left.
Crystal hung up. I don't need them. I have my new friends. I called up Jackie and the others, and we went to the mall. I purchased everything they wanted. That evening, I had a date with Ethan. Over the next week or so, I kept myself busy. I thought everything was going great, until the morning after one of my parties. I saw 15 missed calls from my mother. She probably wants to complain about something else that I didn't do. I said as I dialed her number. Hey, Mom, 15 missed calls. Really? As my mother spoke to me, the blood drained from my face and my knees buckled beneath me. What do you mean Grandma's dead? I wailed. The next few days seemed like a blur. I went back to the old apartment with my mom. The days before the funeral, family and friends stopped by to give their condolences. Even though Crystal was there, she kept her distance from me. I had never felt more alone. At the funeral, girls from the program, together with Mrs. Osborne, attended, as well as Crystal. I looked around the church for my other friends, but none of them showed. After the funeral, I went back to my house. I needed time to think and be alone. When I returned to school, I asked my friends why they didn't come to the funeral. Some said it wasn't their grandma. Others made excuses about having previous family engagements. One guy even said that his goldfish died that same day. It was then and there I realized that my mother was right. These new friends weren't friends at all. They were just using me to get what they wanted. During lunchtime, I sat in the cafeteria away from everyone, picking out my lunch, when someone came and sat next to me.
Hi,
they said softly. I looked up. It was Crystal. Our eyes met, and she came over to me and hugged me. I cried into her shoulder until I couldn't cry anymore. I pulled away slowly. I'm so sorry, Crystal, for how I treated you. I just got caught up because I was never able to do any of those things before. I should have never treated you that way. Do you forgive me?
Of course I forgive you, silly. You are lucky I like you. I may have charged you a friendship reconnection fee.
We both laughed. Before heading home that afternoon, I passed by the Big Sister program and apologized to the girls and Mrs. Osborne. I also asked for the account number of the NGO so that I could make a donation to the program. I can't believe that I allowed money to change me so drastically.
Well, we all make dumb mistakes. I'm just glad to have my best friend back.
After dropping Crystal off, I headed home. I knew that I owed my mother an apology for how I behaved towards her. I just hoped that she forgave me as quickly as Crystal did. I parked the car in the driveway and walked slowly to the front door, going over scenarios as to how to apologize to my mom. I opened the front door and screamed. I just couldn't believe what I saw. It was Grandma. I ran to her and threw my arms around her neck. Grandma, but how? I asked, shocked. When you know the right people, you can make anything happen. My mother's voice came from behind me. What? Sorry, honey, but you were changing so much and losing track of who you truly are. We figured faking my death might shake you out of it. I was too shocked to say anything at first, but then I smiled, tearfully. Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry about the way I treated you, both of you, I said, looking back at Grandma. I know, baby, my mother said as she walked up to me and hugged me. But why the elaborate charade? I asked with a raised eyebrow. Because a mother will do whatever she has to do to get her children back on track. We love you and we needed you to come to your senses. It worked, didn't it? Yes, it did. That night, Mom, Grandma, and I stayed at home and cooked dinner together like we did before. I told her about my day at school and my rekindling with Crystal. Needless to say, that semester I failed all my courses. It does mean that I have to wait for them to come around again before I can retake them. It also means that receiving my degree is going to take longer than expected. It taught me a grave lesson. Your actions are not free from the consequences that follow.